The new book Padawan by Kierstan White is out today. It's a young adult novel all about Obi-Wan's early days as the Padawan of Qui-Gon Jinn, and it's pretty great. Here are my thoughts. I'm going to keep it spoiler-free for a while, and then I will cover things a little deeper. I'm still going to try to keep spoilers on the light side, but there are some specific praises I want to give, and I don't think I can without spoilers, but I'll give you plenty of warning before I do that. Padawan is like the perfect model for a Star Wars young adult book. It is the perfect length, it's perfectly paced, it's a fast and highly enjoyable read. George Lucas has said many times that Star Wars is about teaching 12-year-olds and teenagers and young adults what they need to know as they take their first steps into a larger world. Obi-Wan is a teenager in this book. He is moving up in the world, and that brings with it lots of anxiety. This is the story of him overcoming his fears and his imposter syndrome and the need to keep up with his peers. He's afraid he won't be a good Jedi. He's afraid he won't be good at helping those that need it. And reading a story of young Obi-Wan overcoming those fears actually feels great after watching the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, because in the show, he stops helping those around him because he feels guilty for failing to help Anakin. It's a good reminder that we can all deal with the same issues throughout our lives. Some days we will be victorious over our flaws, and some days we won't. But just because we fail sometimes doesn't mean we should stop trying. This book and the series complemented each other so well. Another major theme of the book is confronting the flaws of your parents or mentors, in Obi-Wan's case. I won't go too deep into his relationship with Qui-Gon here, but if you've read Master and Apprentice, you know they didn't always see eye to eye. I'll just say I liked how they evolved as a pair in this book, and again, it's enhanced by what we saw in the series. But the main plot is pushed forward by Obi-Wan's frustration with his master and his desire to prove himself. In an act of rebellion, he heads off alone to a mysterious planet where he encounters what the book's own cover describes as a pack of feral teens. Basically, the planet they live on is hostile, but they were raised there by their parents, who are all long dead, and who all wanted their children to continue living there. The experiences of those teens and their hostile planet resonated with me so much. They stay on a planet that actively tries to kill them because it's all they know. They can't even imagine a better life, but they're even more stubborn about it because it's what their parents wanted for them. Growing up, we had to do what our parents told us to do. Their lives and their realities become ours. For the most part, I think parents want what's best for their children, and they make choices with good intentions. But that doesn't mean they are good or right or the best choices for their children. It can be difficult to break out of that mindset, but you don't have to keep making the same bad choices previous generations did. Just because something has always been done a certain way doesn't mean it's the good and right way. Most of the book takes place on this one planet, and in the past I've talked about how my favorite Star Wars novels are bigger and will hop from planet to planet and have big galactic stakes and so on. But the more focused story works so well here because the themes are explored perfectly, and when it comes to a young adult novel, I think the more relatable lesson to pass on to young adults is the one about learning to grow beyond the flaws of your parents, or teachers, or mentors, or whoever is in a position of authority over you. Padawan didn't have massive, galaxy-shaking stakes, but Kierstan White's writing was so good that it felt plenty big. And to be clear, as someone in their mid-30s, I still identified with a lot of those lessons. Just because you're not a young adult doesn't mean you can't get a refresher course. I want to talk about more of the themes of this book, but to do that, I'm gonna have to dive a little deeper into the plot. So if you want to avoid that, skip to the timecode on the screen. Still here? Okay, so the book synopsis describes the feral teens as Force-sensitive, but we find out that isn't true. Their planet produces a substance they can ingest that gives them Force-like abilities. Basically, they can jump farther, run faster, they're stronger, that kind of thing, but they can't connect with the Force. It's all kind of a cheap imitation. What's more is that the substance is also the life energy of the planet itself, and when it's stolen, that's when it becomes hostile. As Obi-Wan puts it, the teens and their parents before them were taking from the planet without giving anything back. They're knocking nature out of balance, and so the planet actively tries to remove them from its ecosystem. Of course, balance is a huge theme of Star Wars. Obi-Wan even talks about symbionts in The Phantom Menace. All worlds and people are connected, and if you only take from your planet or your community with no thought of the future or of giving back, things will fall further and further out of balance. There are some some pretty obvious real-world, ecological, and societal connections to make there. But I really loved what White had to say about power and the people who crave it. We get to know this culture that basically crash lands on the planet. They discover this substance that helps them survive and makes them strong, but they crave more and more of it until the planet is finally like, enough, and fights back. Some of the people realize their folly, repair their ship, and leave, but some refuse to do that. They would rather live difficult lives with some power than live easier lives with none. And their power is all self-serving. All it does is make them feel bigger and more important than they are. It helps no one but themselves. Power isn't inherently evil, but if you're not using it to help anyone, if you're only selfishly using it for yourself and even hurting the world around you, it's pointless. Holy cow, that hit me hard. So much of Star Wars is about what you choose to do with the powers that you have. We see that through not only the Force and the Jedi and the Sith, but Mandalorians and their armor and weapons and gear. How they choose to use their talents or even their belongings defines the kind of people they are. There are two great quotes that made me think about my own power and what I do with it. The first is, Obi-Wan was terrified that he had been given advantages and knowledge and power, and he wouldn't be strong or capable enough to use them to help other people, to help the whole galaxy, to be a tool of good for the Force. The way I see it, Molly and I, our power is this YouTube channel. We've got hundreds of thousands of people subscribed to us. Occasionally, in the real world, something happens that we feel the need to speak up about. And every time we do, we get people telling us to stick to Star Wars or whatever. But the reason we feel so strongly about those real-world issues, and the reason we speak up, is because of the lessons Star Wars taught us. And I don't say that to pat ourselves on the back, because I won't pretend it's something that we do perfectly every time. I'm speaking for myself now, but sometimes I do just want to stick to Star Wars. I don't want to have to talk about the ugliness of the real world. But here's another quote that felt like it was written for me in those exact moments. It's Qui-Gon talking to Obi-Wan, and he says, "It's fine to negotiate with others over something important, but when you begin negotiating with your own conscience, you are trying to justify what you want rather than listening to the Force." Yeah, I'm going to remember that one, because when I have those mental debates, I know it's myself holding me back. I know it's just mental and social exhaustion with the state of the world. Molly and I both do want Star Wars Explained to be an escape for people during hard times. We do want Star Wars Explained to be a fun and safe space to just come and hang out where we can all enjoy our favorite franchise together. But if we never speak up about what's truly important, if we only use Star Wars Explained for our own benefit and nothing more, then what's the point? So yeah, Padawan might be a book written for young adults, but its themes spoke to me on a very personal level. It's a profound book with so much to say, and I am impressed with how much Kierstan White was able to express in such a fast-paced Star Wars story. If you like the prequel era, I think this is an easy recommendation. If you loved the Obi-Wan Kenobi series and want to keep diving into the character, you'll get that here. I will also say that if you're like me and you want to see more new characters and locations in Star Wars, even though Kenobi is obviously central to the story, it still felt very fresh and like an exploration into the unknown, so I enjoyed it on that level as well. If you're interested in checking out Padawan, you can pick up the audiobook for free on Audible. Just click on the link in the description or visit www.audibletrial.com/Star Wars Explained. The audiobook is out right now, and the production value on all the Star Wars books is very high with sound effects and music. It's like listening to a movie. Signing up for an Audible trial will get you a credit for one free book, and you can use it on Padawan, or just about any Star Wars book you can think of. Or get any book you want. The point is, you get a free book, and you'll be supporting the channel when you do. But that's it for today. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.